Hello everyone, Luke here and welcome back to the channel. So it's finally time to pull this thing out. And if you're wondering what this is our MMA/MIG welder. I've never actually used a MIG welder before in my life, but I've had plenty of practice with MMA, which basically just means arc welding. So you might have seen it floating around in the back of our videos for quite a long time. And in my mind, I thought it was the perfect time to actually pull this thing out and learn about it and actually give it a go. So, let's read the instruction manual first, and then we can try and connect everything up. Right, so the first thing that we have to do is actually feed the wire through. So, figuring out how to put this wire spool on, easy peasy. I just take this out, put it in, screw it back up. But the thing that I was having difficulty with was actually figuring out where it fed through. So, thanks to Carl, I finally figured it out. It's basically a tensioner wheel right here, which I will undo that to release the tension, and it opens it up. And then I can feed my wire through here, all the way through here, out to the front, and then basically clamp this back down. And there's something else really interesting to note, and that is, these wheels will have little grooves in them depending on the size of your wire. So make sure that you go for the right size groove for your wire. For me, it's going to be this outside one because I'm going to be using a flux core gasless wire. Right, so we finally fed this through, and it was actually really simple. I just made sure I put it straight through the guides and then just basically held the button whilst it was on until it come all the way out the end. So now that's actually stick it out. What we have to do now is finish connecting this up so it can weld with gasless. And this is actually going to be really easy, so I'll show you that now. Okay, so we're going to hook this up so we can actually weld without the need of any gas. So what I'm going to do is splash an image on the screen now. So that's the way that it's supposed to be connected up. So I'm going to grab my jumper lead and connect that in. And the final thing that we need to do is connect our ground clamp. So let's just plug that into the last available slot. And that means we're hooked up so we can weld without the need of gas. So let's give it a go. Right, so here's my example piece that I'm going to be welding up, and I'm basically just going to butt it against each other like that and then run a nice weld along the edges. And to be honest with you guys, this is the very first time that I've tried this specific welder. So I'm really hoping for good results, and to be honest, I think it's just going to be mainly on the feel, if that makes any sense. So making sure that I've got the settings right and make sure that it feels nice whilst I'm welding it. But the only thing to do is to actually give it a go, and I'm hoping, because I've had a lot of experience welding with MMA or an arc welder, I should be a little bit experienced with it. So let's give it a go. Okay, I've got all my gear on, so let's give it a go. Nice, so that's tacked. Let's try and run a nice bead. Wowzers! I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, that is the first time I've ever tried that. Let's try and get that to focus. Would you look at that weld? So I'm going to quickly knock off all the slag and give it a quick brush, and we're going to see what it looks like. Okay, so as you can see, here was the very first weld that we did. That looks relatively nice. And then I did this, which didn't look actually as good at all. But then after playing around with the settings just a little bit more, we managed to pull this weld out the bag, and even though it's not completely straight, it still looks quite nice. And then when we come to our final weld, you can see that I really, I'm going to try and get a close-up of that. You can see that I really did almost get that stacking coins effect, and I really did get my settings correct there. And now I feel a lot more comfortable welding with this thing. So again guys, that was my first ever time trying this MIG welder, and I'm really glad that you guys were coming along on this little bit of a journey with me to actually see what this thing can do. And I'm really excited to get this out a lot more and actually get quite good with it. Well, hopefully I'll be able to get quite good with it. And there's a few benefits of this thing. So this is actually able to weld some really nice thin steel sheets or whatever. So it's actually really good for them really delicate jobs that you just can't achieve with an arc welder. So I'm 100% going to be getting this out a lot more, I promise. And with that being said, that does bring me to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them all. Anyway guys, I hope you have a fantastic day and I'll see you later. And don't forget to subscribe.